Hey everybody, another video here about the Spy Hunter. I had been working on this control, restoring this control here. My missile button didn't work, and I took it all apart and everything. And when I put it back in, I realized that one of the spacing washers that goes, that mounts behind here was missing. Let's see if this works. So here's the diagram. And you can see that actually this diagram is not exact, but this is from the manual. You can see there's a spacer washer in the front and one in the back. And so I only had one of the washers. Well, actually this diagram shows that there's actually two in the front and two in the back of different types. I only had one. I have no idea how many are actually supposed to exist. But John on KLOV, JAWHN, actually 3D printed me a replacement. This is a 3D printed, and what we're going to do is I'm going to take the steering column apart and maybe film what it looks like without the extra washer, and then we'll put the washer. So I undid the control panel here real quick, and there's a chain that kind of holds it up. That's it. Yeah, that's right. So what we're going to have to do is actually probably disconnect these springs, and I don't believe my springs are original. You can see they're actually two different sizes. Maybe they are, and they must have broke at some point because then somebody put some JB weld, and I mean this thing is definitely pieced together, but it works. So we're going to have to remove these bolts down here, remove the springs, disconnect this connector. I shouldn't have to do anything with the pot, but I will probably have to readjust it, recenter it potentially. And then we'll slide this out. And I think the washer there, you can see the washer, one of them is right there. Right underneath there, that's the one of the washers there. And I think the other one goes back here. So one goes on the back side of this, and I think one's supposed to go on the front side of it as well, so I'm gonna have to take that apart. So we'll take it apart and look to see. Okay, so hopefully I'm at a good enough angle where you can kind of see this. The light is, let's see, is that better? Yeah, right, kind of like that maybe. Anyway, you can see that the steering gear here that hooks onto the gear on the potentiometer is just slightly off, and if I push in on the steering column, there's play there where I can actually lift it up. So you see that, and I'm thinking that the other washer will kind of eliminate that a little bit and potentially bring the steering column gear down a little bit to be more in line. So it definitely works, it's not a problem. But it's just kind of just a little bit off, maybe like halfway or maybe a couple millimeters or something. So I have everything taken apart, and I didn't have to actually take this part apart, this part of the steering mechanism, but what I wanted to show is one of the washers goes on this side of this brass kind of fitting, and then the other washer goes on this side, and that's where I had it. The other thing is, this is the washer that John printed out for me. It's super smooth on one side, and this side probably is where the printing was happening, is not as smooth, but I don't think it's a big deal. But look how, I mean, the light's not great, but look at that. I mean, it is dead. I can't see barely any difference at all. And that was just based off of me sending him some measurements. I mean, it seems like it's perfect. So we're pretty damn close. So anyway, so what we're going to do is, let's see here. The only thing I had to do actually is take out this pin, and that which holds it up right here. This is too hard for me to do unless I put it on the tripod to try to do it live. Maybe I'll do that. Let me see if I can get the tripod in. All right, we'll see how this works. So I have to put the cover on the underside here and then feed it up So here, like this. Like that. Then put some bolts on. Hopefully YouTube, I have some music playing in the background, so hopefully, you never know. I turned it down a little bit because they might choose to block it or something. If not, you just don't get to hear me talk, which is a good thing. I got one more to go. Where the hell is that at? One more bolt. I gotta find the bolt. I'll be right back. Okay, it was a little easier. I took off this little bracket here, and it's probably a good thing I took this back apart because this was a little loose anyway. So I just took that bracket off so I could more easily get to this back bolt here. And so this thing is definitely solid. And what we want to do now is basically we're going to take one of these washers. I'm going to take the white one, and we're going to slide it onto our steering column like that. You can see that. And then we're going to fit that through. Let's see if you can, from the bottom, I'm going to feed this through the shroud, which I can't show you right now, and kind of just feed it up through here. And it should pop up on the top side. Let's see if we can do this. Come on. There we go. Oh, crap. That didn't work because the shroud is preventing the washer from going all the way up, I think. Yeah, I got to put the washer on and then with the shroud. So I'll be right back and show you that. Okay, so I'll show you what happened here. So I was feeding it through, and the shroud is kind of holds the washer in there, so it's got to be, take the washer off, shroud like that, then washer, and then we can feed it up through the top. So which makes it a little bit more difficult because you actually have to hold this up here potentially. See if I can do this. Like that. And I could probably put this little pin in here just to hold it real quick. Alright. And then get my bolts back through and everything. And I'll pause and just do this real quick. We're just going to put the bolts back on. But we got we have the washer on the opposite side of that brass fitting of the steering column holder, I guess, or whatever you want to call that. So I will pause and be right back. Okay, so I have that back in there. Now we have to kind of hold the steering column, remove that pin that was holding it there for a second. put this washer on. Oh crap, I guess it isn't the exact same size. It might just be a little, just a tad bit tight. Let me try sanding that down a little bit. It's just barely off. Oh, bummer. I mean, it's just barely off. Crap. Alright, let me put this in. I'm going to see if I can just kind of sand a little bit of the inside down. Just a tad bit. Alright, I got it sanded, so we're going to... it was just a little bit off, and that's not John's fault because he was going off of the measurements I sent him. So, and I'm not going to take the time to actually get the digital caliper out and try to figure all this stuff out. So, but that goes there like that, and it moves fine, so that's fine. And then we got to hold this on there like that, and then put the pin in. If I can get it in. There we go. And where's my E-clip? Like that. Perfect. And then we just need to put this on. And then it will kind of slide in there. You just kind of pull it up so it... Huh. Interesting. It actually raised it up this way instead of raising it down. Is that right? Because I kind of need it like that. Or is it because I... Oh yeah, once I tighten it down, it'll be fine. That's what it is. So let me do that. Let me actually get this in there, and then we'll get a side shot on it. And I'll be right back. So yeah, it's much better aligned there. I know it's kind of difficult to see, but that looks great. See if I can keep that light on there. Because it was lower. Now it's just a tad smidgen, but maybe, you know, that's what the washers are for, is to kind of raise it and lower it so it's perfectly aligned with that gear. But anyway, I think it's nice. Let me see if there's how much movement there is. A lot less movement too when I push up on it. I mean, there's a little bit of slack, but not much at all. So again, there's a little bit of slack, but I think there was a lot more before, so it definitely helped out. So the only thing I have to do now is put them on my springs and reconnect this. And I pretty much centered it when I put it on, so I think our steering calibration should be okay. So I might show that, I might not. Well, I'm an idiot. See, this is what happens when you film stuff and you're trying to go too fast. This red piece is supposed to go up underneath there like that. So I have to take out my pivot pin again, my little pin there, and put this in there, drop it down a little bit and put this back in. So I'll do that, and then off camera I'll be right back. Alright, so put the red thing in there. I actually didn't have to take out the pin. I just undid the bracket there for the potentiometer, and it's even better aligned now with that red thing in there. I mean, it's almost like dead on as far as being aligned vertically with that, and as far as pushing it up, I have to kind of really it's definitely a lot firmer. There's not a lot of movement in and out of the steering wheel. I'll show you after I put the thing back up. So let's I got the springs back on, and we'll close it up and see. All right, first I powered the machine up, and I went into the test mode, but I just wanted to show kind of there's a little bit. If I push in before, I could push this thing like there was a lot of, whoops, I just hit the weapons van. But I could push this in a lot. There's not a lot of movement now, you know, kind of. Now that is just based off of the steering column, and this part, the back and forth, there's a little bit of wiggle, but the in and out is definitely a lot less due to that extra washer. So it's definitely the washer's definitely working out, John. So I have to wait for self-test to complete, and then I'll be right back. To player input, weapons van. It says that, see that it's kind of off a little bit. It says right 1. As you can see, if I go all the way, I can only get to 7 that way. I can get to 8 to the right. So I think we're off just a little bit. So we'll hit the tilt switch, and then go to pot calibration, steering wheel calibration. It says it should be 8C. So I'm going to center the steering wheel. I'm going to have to take that pot out and just adjust it. So let me put this back on the tripod real quick. Well, actually, I don't have a screwdriver. Let me be. All right, so I know this angle is not the greatest, but hopefully you can see the wheel value. And what to do, I have a video on the, I think, calibrating the gas pedal, but there's 2 little screws here on this, the pot mounting plate, that you can loosen and just barely, see if I get it. And we should be able to move it just enough when we go the other way. And I can't get it far enough, so I'm gonna center it, and we're gonna have to tighten it down and then take the bracket off, unfortunately, because I moved it all the way one direction, and I could only get I couldn't get to 8C, which is what it says it should be 8C. So let me take this off. We'll have to manually move it and then try to get it back in there. It's just a little bit too far out of whack, I guess. The other thing is these springs aren't completely correct. I'll show you probably after I do this. So we're taking this off. We're going to move this. That's probably pretty close. Alright, and now we're pretty close, so we should have enough little adjustment room. So we'll go ahead and mount this back. There we go. Dang, that thing was being a little pain in the butt. Got this nut driver off of the Christmas list suggestion, I think from Tronic or something. But it's definitely come in handy. I love that thing. Alright, so now we want to loosen this up and adjust it to 8C. kind of very sensitive there. That's B. It's like, I don't know if I can get it any better than that. I think that's, I'm just going to leave it like that. It's between B and C. I mean, the pot is old, so it's, alright, so we should be good, I think. There we go, it's starting to show 8C now. It's pretty damn close. Alright, so we adjusted that. Let's see if we throw this back like this. Can you still see? Move the camera. So we're pretty close right there. And again, like this, when I let go of the steering wheel, like if I go this way, it doesn't center completely. So you kind of have to. I don't like it. I'm going to adjust it just a little bit more. I have like 1 minute left, so let's get to this real quick. We'll go to player input. And it's pretty close to center. There we go. Oh, we can only go back to 8. That sucks. Alright, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit more and come right back. Alright, here we go. I got it centered. I only had to adjust it one more time. So we're going left to the 8, right to the 8, and then it's perfectly centered. So we got it done. I think that's it. John, thanks again for giving me that washer. And it really, I think it really helped out. So as far as the stability and the alignment of the pot gear and stuff. So definitely appreciate that. Thanks again, John. Bye.